Go.
Good morning, Texas Realtor Bubba Bashaw with Gold Financial Services here in Austin, Texas. As you know, I'm a trainer for the Texas Real Estate Commission and I teach mortgage lending statewide. One of the programs I'm most fond of is FHA because so many people qualify with the FHA underwriting guidelines. They're clearly the most liberal underwriting guidelines when it comes to down payment and when it comes to debt to income ratio. But before we begin, I'd like to mention a couple of points about FHA that I think are noteworthy. The first is FHA does not require that the borrower be a first-time home buyer. They don't have to be. They can have already owned a home in the past, and that's just fine. FHA is also one of the only programs that allows a non-occupying co-borrower. So many years ago, here at the University of Texas, we talked about kiddie condos where the 18-year-old was going to the university and their parent was going to co-sign so that they could purchase a condominium. That's the same thing with FHA. You can have a non-occupying co-borrower, which means more young people can qualify for home if a family member is willing to go on the loan with them. As I mentioned earlier, FHA is probably the easiest qualifying, even more so than non-prime lending. FHA goes all the way down to a 500 credit score and allows a debt to income ratio all the way up to 57%. So if the lender you've been working with is telling you that you have to have a 580 or 620 credit score, they are not a direct endorsed lender, or at least they're not utilizing their direct endorsement that allows them to follow the actual guidelines published by the FHA. So I suggest you making a change. Actually, I suggest you call Gold Financial. We know more about FHA and government loans. As a matter of fact, this year, we're going to fund over $2 billion in FHA and VA home loans. So we really want to be your source for lending. Another thing I'd like to mention, other than the high debt ratio of 57% that is allowed, is that FHA has new loan limits coming out on January 1st. Now, it's very important that you understand the significance. It's when the case number is assigned. So any case number assigned after January 1st would qualify for the new limits. And to give you an idea, for our people here in Central Texas, $384,100 is the new loan amount allowed by FHA. In Houston, it's $331,200. For our friends in Dallas, Tarrant County, $386,400. And in San Antonio, $359,950. So you'll see that FHA really has stepped up their loan limits, and there are a lot of homes, condominiums, that qualify under the FHA new loan limits. Again, remember, it's not the date the application was taken, it's not the date the loan closes, it's the day the case number was filed. So that's very important to remember. So when qualifying for an FHA loan, there's a couple of items that are always present in every FHA loan. The first is employment. You have to be employed in order to get an FHA home loan because the repayment is based on your ability to prove income. Now, you can be self-employed or you can be a W-2 wage earner. Either way is fine, but you do have to have at least 2 years of employment unless you were a student. If you were a student, your transcript would work, and then you just have to have 6 months of employment. If you're self-employed, it does require 2 years. FHA does require pay stubs for the last 30 days, W-2s, and tax returns, all schedules. So when you have a self-employed person, sometimes the income may not work. There's always alternative lending as an option, but FHA is a good option to start with. Excuse me. So the employer very simply is going to complete a verification of employment for the loan processor to verify that the person is still on the job, and it's important that there's not more than a 6-month job gap in the last 2 years, of course, unless you were a student. The next item they're going to look at is credit. Now, FHA, as I mentioned earlier, is probably the loosest guidelines when it comes to credit. FHA will underwrite all the way down to a 500 credit score. Again, if your lender is telling you that you have to have a 580 or a 600 or 620, or that at a certain score you can't do this, you can't do that, they're adding internal overlays. They're not utilizing their direct endorsement, or perhaps they don't have a direct endorsement. So you want to make sure that the lender you're referring your clients to has the ability to approve all your clients. You spend a lot of money on marketing. The last thing you want to do is find a guy with a 589 credit score and send it to a bank that requires a 620, because they're going to get turned down. It's not fair to you, and most importantly, it's not fair to the family that wants to purchase a home from you. So, under the credit, down to a 500 credit score, and again, direct endorsed lender is very important. Rental history. You cannot be more than one time late in the last 12 months on your rent or mortgage. Now, a lot of people rent from an individual and it doesn't appear in their credit report. If you work with our group, we will get their mortgage added to the credit report. That does two things. One, it verifies their mortgage history, and it is allowable by Fannie, Freddie, and Ginnie Mae. In addition to that, it'll boost the credit score. So our goal always is to take care of the client and offer them the best loan program that is available in the marketplace. And sometimes that takes a little bit of work. Sometimes there's credit issues we need to work through, but we are very experienced. After 25 years in the industry and knowing the guidelines for Fannie, Freddie, Ginnie, USDA, VA, all the loan programs, I assure you, if we cannot approve your client, no one else will. I assure you. Okay, so on to where we go. So that's the credit. If you have a person that's been living with family, that's okay too. But we do have to know where they've been for at least the last 12 months. And the next thing, down payment. This is a big one. Down payment for FHA is 3.5% down as long as the credit score is over 580. If the credit score is from a 579 and lower, then it requires 10% down plus closing costs. Now, keep in mind, the down payment has to come from the borrower or a gift from a family member, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, grandma, or it can come in the way of a grant. We're fortunate to offer grant programs that allow a borrower to get into an FHA, VA, USDA home with no money down. As a matter of fact, they could even get their earnest money back at closing, depending on the price of the property. So we have great options when it comes to the down payment. Now, the down payment does have to be sourced and seasoned. What that means is, if they're going to get a gift from their grandmother, we have to be able to prove the grandmother had the money in the bank and that she wired it to the title company on behalf of our borrower. So all down payment for FHA does have to be sourced and seasoned. Debt ratio, again, up to 57% for FHA, which is truly the most liberal debt and income ratio allowable in the country. So that's FHA. Pretty easy to qualify for. You have to be able to verify your ability to pay, that is your income, your willingness to pay, your credit history, and then that you're currently employed and that you have a down payment. So, Texas, our number is 512-953-7359, and we make it very easy for the realtor partners we have to refer your clients. You can simply go to our website, austinslender.com, or when you think of me, Austin Slender, kidding, go to austinslender.com and click in the upper right-hand corner on the button that says pre-qualify my buyer. And all you do is put in your information, your name, your phone number, and your email, your borrower's name, phone number, and email, and then any notes. As soon as that is done, our transaction coordinator, Catherine, will immediately pick up the phone call and reach out to your borrower to welcome them. We understand that first-time buyers don't always know the process, and it's our job to make the process as seamless as possible. We want them to feel comfortable. We want them to know that they're making a good decision. After all, home ownership in the United States has always been the American dream, and today it still is, and FHA makes it easier than ever before. So please go to our website, austinslender.com, click on the pre-qualify my buyer, put in their information, and we'll go to work for you. Even if you have a customer you're not sure they're ready to proceed, let's see if we can't help you get them off the fence. Now, in addition to that, your borrower, if they're ready to go, can go to that same website, austinslender.com or Austin Slender, and they can click on the pre-qualify button. And then they click on full application, complete the application. As soon as it comes in, one of our licensed loan officers will immediately go to work on it for them. Our job and our goal is to provide you, the realtor, with a pre-qualification letter that is almost as good as a bank check. So we're going to verify income, we're going to verify credit, We're going to verify rental history. We're going to make sure that they qualify so that when we give you that pre-qualification letter, they're ready to go and there's no questions. We've done it a little different at Gold Financial than most lenders. We have two processors. We have a processor at the beginning who's our transaction coordinator. Catherine was with USAA for over 10 years and is a government lending specialist. So when she's talking to that borrower initially and gathering documentation, we're going to make sure the bank statements work. Any large deposits, we're going to talk about them up front. Pay stubs, we're going to make sure if there's commission, overtime, or bonus income, that it is usable and verifiable income. The last thing we want to do is open a loan that won't close. And the last thing you as a realtor want is to put a borrower in your car, drive around and find a house only to find out that 2 weeks from closing, gee, the lender missed something. So we're very thorough. We want to make sure that the pre-qual we give you is as good as a bank check. So give us a call, 512-953-7359, or visit our website, austinslender.com. Have a great day.